The biggest problem is that we have a minister and ministry who are specialists in boardroom decisions and who fear to confront the problem because where the things that are experimental. I want to tell you that in the last campaign of 2017, I was with President Uhuru Kenyatta in a place in Tot with President Uhuru Kenyatta. While he is addressing the people of Marakwet, there was an attack less than 2 kilometers where he was. It's not that the president is a stranger to this issue. The problem is the persons who are now managing security have never known what is insecurity in their lives. They've just been moving from one boardroom to another, talking about niceties and catwalking. Let me tell you, what we are talking about here is about people's lives.
This is about people's lives. Tonight, residents of Kerio Valley are living in fear with the escalation of insecurity occasioned by bandit attacks in the volatile region. The frightened locals are pleading with the government to act swiftly and save their already disrupted and threatened lives. And now the question of who owns guns in that region is the bone of contention, with lack of proper documentation of the number of guns and ammunition given to police reservists and home guards over the years. The government is conducting a cleanup exercise which involves digitization of all firearms in Kerio Valley. The vetting of the National Police Reservists has already rattled the leaders from the region, as you heard. And as we speak, several deaths have been reported. Some schools closed and access roads cut off because of insecurity. But for how long will this go on? That is our discussion tonight on The Big Story. And someone once said, this is our country, these are our people, that makes this our problem. The insecurity in the Rift Valley. How can it get sorted once and for all? These are conversations that people have been having for years in this country. And now the government says we need to disarm the reservists. The local leaders are saying, no, you cannot disarm them because they're the only hope our people have. So it's a back and forth, basically. So let's have this conversation. Our lead reporter, Sophia Wanuna, got the chance to speak to Charles Owino, Director Communication, National Police Service, on the police take on the disarming of National Police Reservists. Let's listen in.
Good evening, Linda. So a section of leaders from the North Rift region have come out to criticize the government over their move to disarm the National Police Reservists in that region. We're talking about Baringo County, Turkana County, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet as well. Now, the government on one hand argues they need to be able to take back these guns, the ammunition, so that they can register, serialize, so that it is clear who has what, so that in the event there is crime committed, then it makes investigations easier and to track down the individuals and to weed out the criminals from the reservists and the security agencies. However, the leaders in that region are saying that there were no consultations. There should have been stakeholders, how they're describing engagement, and also saying during this time that this exercise has taken place, there have been many deaths reported, that insecurity has continued to be on the rise. And most importantly, even as, of course, lives being lost, again, the students as well suffering with schools being closed because of the rise in insecurity. So let's talk about really what is happening in that part of the country. I have with me police spokesperson Charles Owino. Thank you, sir, as always, for making time for us. Just for the record, to get it clear, there is a disarmament exercise going on in the North Rift region. Is that correct? If yes, why?
First of all, I would like to say that there's a clear role of police reservists, and there's history to why we have police reservists. It's not the first time that we are going to either disarm or completely disband reservists. I remember in 2004, the police disbanded all reservists in urban centers. There was a huge outcry that if we disband the reservists in urban centers, then we'll be overrun by criminals, that they support us here and there, and so on and so forth. But there was a special reason. There's a reason as to why we did away with the reservists in urban centers, because themselves they were turning into criminals. They were harassing people and doing so many other things. We have a very special reason why we have police reservists in remote areas, and more so in areas where we undertake serious operations, especially in cattle rustling. You are aware that we have had traditional culture of communities within those areas raiding other communities and taking livestock. And because they were nomads and pastoralists, many a times we felt that we needed to have reservists to support fast response when there were attacks. And it is known that our mandate as police is to protect lives and properties of Kenyans, including their animals. It is not a right for any civilian to own a firearm. It is the duty of the police to protect you. And we are saying we are going to protect the civilians. What has happened is that the traditional culture of raiding and so on has been outfaced. It's no longer cultural, it's no longer traditional. What has happened, this is criminality and this is theft, where you find that a group of criminals from, let's say, Turkana and a group of criminals from, let's say, Pokot are even known to one another. They support one another. You find the Turkana group going to Pokot, raiding animals with support with other criminals, not the locals. It's not the locals, it's just organized criminals going to sell these things in retail market, and they're wealthy traders who buy this thing and take them to other markets.
So there is...
So what we are saying is that from the situation as it is, the cultural raiding that used to take place is gone. What has remained is a group of criminals. So what we are doing is that, number one, we must be able to mark our guns, register them. And if possible, we are thinking of even doing away completely with police reserves and letting police do their duty. You are aware that we have come up with a very strong border patrol system, especially from the administration department. And we are going to have border patrol camps along the border so that we can be able to manage, especially from Ethiopia, where we used to have, and Sudan, where we used to have Toposos, where we used to have Karamojoms coming in. The police will give that buffer. And then in between communities, we are also giving the buffer. So it's not a privilege. It's not a right, it's a privilege for civilians to own arms. And we've made a decision, and we are not getting back to it. And we just want to warn leaders that if there is any leader who is planning to create disturbance, who is planning to buy arms, illegal arms, and arm people and cause violence, cause crime, and then say we would put us under pressure to give them back arms, it will not take place. Yeah. So I'm just saying categorically that we are not going to accept, we are not going to allow, we are not going to condone any person to maybe pay youths money, try to buy illegal firearms and bring into the market and trying to cause disorder and maybe criminality. So just to put pressure on us. That will not happen. And anybody who will try to do that, then we can tell him his days are numbered, and we are not going to take it lying down. We will deal with the person accordingly. No more illegal arms in the hands of individuals, and we have a duty to protect the people. Remember, we have been to the ground. The locals are saying they don't want firearms. But you find leaders saying they want firearms. What do they want?
Let me ask you, sir, let me come in there, because you're talking about no more illegal arms.
Yes.
You're talking about residents saying they do not want firearms.
Yes.
But and perhaps a concession needs to come from government, from the police, that this problem then started with the government, with the police service, in that they armed the reservists. So now they're coming back to say and realize there's a problem that there are guns, hold on, let me finish my question, that there are guns in the hands of civilians, and that's part of why crime is thriving in this region is because we don't know who owns what. So now, yes, it's a good measure seeking to streamline, but in the first place, government needs to own up that having in the past years and decades given weapons, arms and ammunition without keeping records, that was wrong. That was failure on its part.
First of all, what we must admit is that we had a good purpose of arming civilians.
But not well implemented.
I'm saying we had a very good purpose.
True.
We don't want to blame persons who did what they did at that time. It's our time now to do the right thing. if somebody made a mistake.
But you would agree.
That must be.
You would agree
yes,
it was.
It's not appropriate. But also remember, technology comes with time. Probably in the 50s, when arms were given, there was no digitalization of arms. So you cannot say, why didn't they digitalize? It wasn't there.
Since 2013, when Uhuru Kenyatta administration came into power?
Yes, but everything takes time to be implemented, and everything you have to justify a reason why you are doing a particular thing. And also remember, the numbers of police have been very low. Remember, since the President Uhuru Kenyatta took over in 2013, we have recruited 10,000 police officers every year. We have recruited over 40,000 police officers. You cannot compare it to the administration of President Moi or the administration of President Kibaki, when we had fewer police officers. And that formed the reason as to why the president recruited more police officers. Remember, apart from recruiting more police officers, the president has even gone ahead to buy for us special vehicles, AMRAPs and so on, that we use in operation areas. So a lot has been done since 2013. We could not just come and start implementing these issues before much of this has been done. So we must give, we must accept that the president has done quite a lot for us since 2013 to date, increasing the number of police officers. And that is why now, and also remember the reorganization that we have done, where administration police has been given special duties, where we are going to have only units in administration police. And therefore, the number of police officers coming to general duty from AP is about 24,000. We are going to have 64,000 police officers in general duty, where before 1992, we had less than 24,000 police officers. So the number has increased, the technology has increased, and therefore what we are doing it we are doing it because of the standards which we now have in terms of numbers, in terms of technology.
Isn't there the merit to the point that's been made? Because, as I said, it was government that armed these reservists to help beef up security in that region. Now that the government, seeing that it must streamline for the sake of security, of course it's a threat when you have all these people with arms who you do not know who they are and what they're doing. To have engaged them before the disarmament, because what they're saying is this has happened abruptly. There is no engagement. In fact, some are reading malice, political interest, that some communities are being seen to be disarmed, others are still being left with their weapons. Wouldn't there have been a better tidier way to do this?
We would want you to go ahead and tell us where we are not digitalizing, that we are digitalizing.
I'm talking about engagement with the leaders, with the locals.
Issues of security are security issues. You don't go requesting people on certain issues, especially on security. There's no negotiation about this. The question is, it is not a right. It's not my right.
But you gave them the weapons. Hold on, sir, with due respect. But the point I'm making is you gave them the weapons. Now you're seeking to have a more legitimate, clear way of operating, in that you're licensed, it's serialized.
Excuse me, you expected us to go and request.
You're almost treating them like criminals.
No.
Some of the leaders have argued, and yet you give them the weapons in the first place.
Excuse me. The fact that you have been asked to register, we have civilian firearms, whom in the last 6 months, we have been registering them afresh. It's not criminality. If we ask you, bring your gun, we register it, we digitalize, we mark it. That is not criminalization, unless we don't understand what it is. It's only that politicians are politicians. They have to bring politics. They want votes. They think if they say this, they'll get more votes. But we are standing our ground. We are doing this to the interest of the nation. We are doing this to the interest of the local mwananchi. It is always our interest to ensure that the public is safe. That is our mandate. Nobody would want to nobody would want the communities not to be safe. But practically what we are saying, the people who have been involved in cattle rustling is no longer an issue of culture. It's an issue of some wealthy people supporting people on the ground to steal animals and to sell to them, and then they sell it at higher price at higher markets. So what we are saying is simple. We know what we are doing. We are confident with what we are doing. We are going to give support to the people, and you can see the Inspector General has already started giving a large number of officers, anti-stock theft unit, RDU, and GSU. They have been deployed to several parts of these operation areas. And we are confident that what we are doing is right, and within a very short time, the leaders will confirm that what we are doing is right. But they don't expect us to come and start pleading and say, can we digitalize the guns? No, it's not appropriate. What kind of forum would that be? It is us who call them to give them the guns. It is us to come and take our guns, or it is us to come and ask the guns to be registered.
So you're saying there's a move and a proposal to completely do away with the reservist
in the long term.
So talk to us then. The disarmament exercise is taking place now. You seek to return these guns after registration. How is it going to work? You take them, you return them. And how does this...
We have places like conservancies, for example, where we are able to manage the reservists who could be in conservancies. It may be considered that we leave conservancies. We may also decide which areas do we still need support of reservists. If we find we need support of reservists, then we give the arms to reservists. But our objective in the long term, the way we did away with reservists in urban areas, we will do away with reservists in operation areas and let policemen protect the people. Because the president has been fair to us. He has given us an opportunity to recruit more officers. He has given us more facilities. And why would somebody feel bad if police takes back their duty to ensure that people are safe? What we are saying, and what I must repeat to you, that we are warning any person, any leader, please don't go buying illegal arms, because we are digitalizing our arms and registering them. Yes. Don't go buying illegal arms. If you do that, we'll catch you. We'll deal with you. Yeah. Don't go planning to kill people or to cause violence or to create criminality in order to explain that there is criminality. We won't allow.
Yeah, because that is the biggest concern. And we have seen this in the past where there have been disarmament exercises, even where the president has visited, the IG in the past, talked to communities, even peace deals have been reached. Then after that, we see violence erupting. So that the concern, and I'm hearing you say, that you will not tolerate that. But have you then beefed up the numbers in as far as you've said, yes, there's a GSU that are in the region, anti-stock theft as well, but are they sufficient to ensure that if these individuals do seek to take matters into their own hands?
What we have is sufficient. And Wenona, I can assure you, maybe you didn't know, for a number of months we have done this. Okay. It's only that it is now erupting. And I can tell you the level of criminality has gone down in these areas. And I can assure you that in the long run, we are going to manage it. The level of criminality will come down. Change is always very painful. You know, we have people, civilian firearm holders, who want to show off that they have a gun. And maybe some of us who are entitled, you don't even see us with those guns. So there's also pride of people in that place having the pride to have a gun. Wenuna, I know of one community where they liked becoming security officers so much that even sometimes when somebody wanted to shoot a girl like you, he would come and call her my landlubber. Could even call her my bastola, you know, because it is the pride that they have. These people have the pride of owning a gun, and that is what they are crying for. It's not about the pride, it's about the security of the people. And that is exactly what we are doing, Wenona.
Finally and briefly, a small arms survey last year found 750,000 guns could be in the hands of civilians in Kenya. As you do this registration and seek to just establish how the situation is as government, are you confident that you'll be able to manage, because that's a huge number, 750,000 arms, and so far the registration we understood that has taken place is about 7,000 of those that have been listed?
Wenuna, we are committed to our work. Okay. We are committed to ensuring that the country is safe. Mm-hmm. We are committed to ensuring that we don't have unnecessary arms in the hands of civilians. And that is why we have done all this. And for your information, anywhere where, you know, the disarmament you are talking about was just disarmament of people having illegal arms. But this one we are talking about people having legal arms that we have given to protect their own people, reservists. That is what we are talking about. We're not talking about illegal arms. And when you know the number of firearms you have in a place and you can control the movements of the arms, you are safe. Okay. We are much safer. But remember, I've just told you, there are many wealthy people who are involved in encouraging these criminals in villages to steal animals and pass them over to them. So what we are saying is we are killing somebody's business. We are killing some people's business. They can't be happy. They have to fight. But in the process of fighting, we must also be ready to fight with them. Our duty, our interest is to have a safe country, to ensure that those children in North Rift are going to school appropriately, people with their animals, the animals are taken care of, and that is why we are saying we're not only going to give internal security, we'll also give the external security appropriately. So we are asking every leader, every person to support us. If somebody has an issue, just come over. The Office of the Inspector General is open, the Office of the Minister is open, and the CS is open, and we can discuss. But as at now, we have taken a stand, and we are not drawing back.
All right, Charles Owino, spokesperson, the Kenya Police, talking about no turning back on that stand they have taken, especially for the North Rift leaders. Many of them have come out in the past few days to say that this should not be happening, but you've heard it. There is no turning back, and those who intend to take the government on, they will face the music, Linda.
There is no turning back, so clearly there had stances on both ends. So the police saying there's no turning back. Listening into Charles Owino says we're even thinking of just doing away with the reservists. After all, this is no longer cultural practice. These are criminal elements that we need to weed out. On the other hand, when you listen to leaders from the Rift Valley, they're raising serious concerns. Some of them are saying, since the police reservists were disarmed, we've had people being killed, we have schools being closed, there's lots of insecurity. These are the only people who are taking care of us. So there's that standoff between the leaders and the government as well. So let's speak to George Msamali. He's a security analyst. He's joining me in studio. But for purposes of this conversation, we're also hoping to speak to West Pokot Governor John Lonyangapuo just before this show ends. But Msamali, just listening in to, there, I can see him. Governor, good evening. Good to see you. Can you hear me?
Good evening to you. I can hear you.
All right. Governor, so thank you for joining us and for being part of the big story this evening. So my colleague Sophia Wanuna was just speaking to Charles Owino, who's the Director of Communication, National Police Service. He says the problem that we are witnessing or seeing in the Rift Valley is largely a criminal element. And he says the problem of banditry and cattle rustling is long gone, and you have individuals taking advantage of this. And whichever way, there's no turning back. The police reservists have to be disarmed. Give me a quick reaction to that.
I had the full discussion between the Wanuna and Wino. And I must say my brother Wino today in his presentation was a bit down. Because first of all, he says they have disarmed National Police reservists. Another wing or arm of police who have been working closely with the citizens and particularly the pastoralists in the villages. Normally they are under the direct command of police commander in the county. Our question was, how do you disarm yourself, a government disarming itself? Yet there is a law that created NPR. It is an act. You should maybe have started by repealing it, going to the Senate or National Assembly. And then again, before you disarm your people, you should have increased the level of presence of anti-stock theft. JSU, and the other bodies that serve to protect our people. The disarming or removing a gun from somebody who has been approved by government, you can do it anytime, but make sure you provide security before you do that.
Has that been done? Has that security been provided? I listened in to him and he said, we have enough police to protect these people. They don't need the police reservists. So yes, you're saying before this is done, adequate police need to be deployed on the ground. Has that happened?
I have come from West Pokot this morning, and I can tell you for sure, unless they are on the way between Nairobi and West Pokot, we have a serious insecurity in the North Rift at a place called Tapach, between border of West Pokot and Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet. About 6 schools in Marakwet side has been closed. 6 schools in West Pokot side has been closed. So I don't know what my brother Wino, that's why I say Wino's presentation today. I know him, he's a very brilliant man, but he should have gotten his facts ready fast. Schools have been closed, and I don't think the intention of government is to disrupt schools by just removing NPR. It would have been better by providing the other arms of security, then you can remove the NPR if you want. And by the way, which one is worst? Because you have just mentioned from the speech I had between Wanuna and Wino that there are small arms in Kenya, rough estimate 750,000 illegal ones. I thought we should have gone for these illegal ones. Then you come and follow now with the NPR ones as you continue beefing up, as the president continues to beef up the number of our regular AP, regular and distortive. I thought it was going like that. Because this country is ours. I mean, doing it in a way that disrupts the flow of things. We are now in the middle of the year. Students are supposed to be preparing for exams. They are going for mocks. It is not good. It's raining. The part of Kenya I'm talking about is very cool, 13,000 feet above sea level in the highlands, Kirangani Hills. So it's not very good. And I've also lost 10 people in West Pokot along the border as a result of the withdrawal of this. I don't know in Turkana and Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet and whatever, but it is a concern. Government is supposed to do what they are supposed to do, but symbol logic would prevail that before you remove the ones you depend on most, why don't we go for these illegal ones that are being used by bandits? And if you must remove from KPR, you supply officers quickly to be on the station before you remove the others.
Governor, the concern that just listening into Charles Owino and a few of the security personnel, they're saying part of the reason or part of the concern they have is that part of these police reservists have now become quote-unquote militia. Why? Because they're in possession of guns that the government cannot account for, and it's difficult to even trace them when there's any illegal activity that happens. So they need to, A, digitize them and know how many they are and try to weed out the criminal elements.
That is correct. To know and digitalize weapons, it is not only for NPR, even our own regular police in the interior of Kenya. I don't think theirs have also been digitalized. So, I mean, by deciding to come up with a policy, you do it in such a way that doesn't expose the people you are supposed to be protecting to danger. Danger in the sense that there are some criminals that are illegal guns. That is why you engage NBR in the first place. You have posted a lot of security officers to the ground, those areas in the first place. So, I mean, the police commanders on the ground and in the sub-counties, they know. I hope there is no difference between the police on the counties and the police in national government. I thought they are one. So they should have consulted to see that any decision that is made comes to enrich and make the lives of our people more safer than yesterday.
Okay. Governor, stay with me. I need to take a short break. I'll engage you for a couple of minutes because I know you have a meeting to go to as well. And then I'll release you in a couple of minutes. Let me take that break now on the big story. George Musamadi.